Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. I hope you're having a good Sunday. The inevitable question after the incredible savage war between Fabio Wardley and Joseph Parker is what's next for both fighters. Now, it's pretty easy to answer with regard to Wardley. Wardley has two fantastic wins under his belt. The Justice Hooney fight, where he was being completely outboxed and basically beaten up, and he came back to find that one punch. A lot of people feel the count was quick, but there's no doubt that Hooney was in trouble. And anyway, regardless of the controversy, he got the win. Wardley got the win. Yesterday, you had a situation where he was losing again, I think, on the cards, quite substantially on two of the cards. I can't remember the exact figures, but it was like, 6-3 in rounds. 7-3 in rounds, something like that, on one of the cards or two of the cards. But again, he stopped Joseph Parker with that barrage. A lot of people feel that the fight was stopped early. I can see the argument, but I'm not really one of those people that would fall into that camp. I don't think it was stopped early. I think Howard Foster's reputation preceded him, and suddenly everyone was saying, "Oh, it's Howard Foster." And it's some people make the usual stupid conspiracy theory statements about brown envelopes being pushed under tables and all this sort of bollocks. But you can argue that it was an early stoppage. Don't get me wrong, but I thought I think you've got to throw back. I think if there's 35, 40 punches being thrown at you and you're not really throwing back, even if a lot of those punches are missing, which they were, the referee's going to step in. You can't, especially, and it's Howard Foster. You know what he's like. So, Anyway, all roads lead to Oleksandr Usyk, as we know. And Fabio Wardley, immediately in the aftermath, said, I want Usyk, and that's what I'm after. I mean, a guy who had, 4 white-collar fights, very limited amateur experience. For him to have reached this height anyway is pretty astounding. But what an absolute warrior he is. What an absolute tank of a man. And Parker himself didn't fight badly. And Parker was excellent. And Parker showed a great chin. He wasn't on the floor at all. He showed resiliency. We know that Joseph Parker is a terrific heavyweight. He is. But now that Wardley's won, he wants Usyk. Of course. Will he beat Usyk? Well, that's a video for another time, let's put it that way. But what about Joseph himself, Joseph Parker? Because he remains, to me, a top 5 heavyweight, obviously top 10 without question. He's still got plenty left. He didn't look shot, he didn't look chinny, and he looked a lot more resilient, perhaps because of the extra weight, than I thought he had previously. Because he'd been on the floor a couple of times against Zhang, which is no shame because the big bang hits hard. He'd been shaken by the 315-pound Bacoli just before he knocked Bacoli out. Bacoli, of course, was in no kind of shape, and that whole ridiculous coming over from the Congo with only 36 hours till the opening bell was all a bit crazy, but no, Parker kind of proved me wrong, definitely, with yesterday's performance, because he hung tough. He was terrific. And I think he's 33, which is not ancient for a heavyweight. And if he wants to carry on, no problem. There are plenty of fights out there. And Frank Warren said in the post-fight press conference, we are 100% behind you. We'll get you other fights. And I think there's a lot of very winnable fights over credible opposition for Joseph Parker out there. So who would that be? Well, him against Moses Atalma, for example, I don't like that fight. I think, well, again, this is probably a video for another time again, but I think Atalma is still a prospect. I know he's so talented that you can fast track him, but throwing him in with someone like Parker, yeah, he could probably beat Parker, but then I think Parker showed a ton of guts, and he'd ask questions of Atalma, and he might even beat him. I think the jury is still, as high as his potential is, there's still so many questions over stamina, punch resistance, and a lot of things. Just bring a Tama along sensibly. You know what I mean? White was kind of shot. And a lot of us predicted an early finish for Atama against White, not because Atama had proven himself, but because White had looked so bad recently. I didn't think it would end in the first round. But so, yeah, people at the back end of their careers, like White, yeah, good experience for Atama. But someone like Parker, who's still a live opponent, maybe a little bit too early for me personally. What about someone like, what about Bacoli or old large infant Miller? I mean, those two fights, not Bacoli, excuse me, he's already fought Bacoli, I beg your pardon. Jarrell Miller, I'm thinking of, yeah. What about that? That would be a good fight, and I'm someone who believes Miller should have been kicked out of boxing a long time ago because of his drug peccadillos. But he's in boxing whether we like it or not. All right, put him in with, what I tell you what about Joseph Parker and Justice Hooney? Two guys from, the same, no, Hooney's Australian, isn't he? But they're the same part of the world, New Zealand, Australia. Massive fight over in New Zealand or Australia. How about that? That'd be a terrific fight. Daniel Dubois and Joseph Parker was meant to happen, wasn't it? What about that? That's still out there. What about Filip Hrgovic, who's coming off a couple of wins over Joe Joyce and David Adeleye? What about David Adeleye himself? I mean, I know that there is this African card that's going to be on, not in the not too distant future, and a lot of the heavyweights, Bacoli's one, I think Adeleye is another one. They might be fighting in, is it Nigeria or Ghana? I think it's Nigeria. Ajit Kabayel, Frank Warren, all these heavyweights, by the way, were at the fight yesterday and they were all interviewed, and there's about 5 of them standing there. Ajit Kabayel will be having a homecoming in Germany, which will be a Queensberry promotion, I believe, or a joint Queensberry promotion. He deserves it. His form is excellent. He's a very, very good heavyweight. Him against Ajit Kabayel against Fabio Wardley, that is a fight I would like to see. It's not going to happen, but because Wardley's going to go after Usyk. But Kabayel deserves a shot at Usyk, in my opinion, far more than Wardley does. What about Kabayel versus Joseph Parker? I like that fight. I like that fight a lot. Because as good as Kabayel has looked, he was on the floor against Zhang. He got knocked over against Zhang, and he got up and stopped him in the next round. He has looked vulnerable several years ago, quite a few years ago now, when he was European champ. He was badly staggered in the opening round. He's beatable, but very good, if you know what I mean. And him against Parker, once Parker's had a deserved rest, if Parker's got something left, yeah, I would watch that fight, Kabayel and Parker. That's probably the fight I would like to see most for Joseph Parker. And there are younger fights. I mean, I mentioned Atama. I mean, you've still got undefeated fighters like Jalalov. What is it? The Perot brothers, Lenier Perot and Daniel Perot. Those two are floating around. That wouldn't really sell, would they? I'm not that fussed. Like Guido Vianello is another one of the Who Needs Him club, the Italian, who's actually an underrated heavyweight, very underrated heavyweight. Akoli versus Joe Parker. Yes. Derek Chisora, they're talking about putting him in with Dillian White. As Derek said yesterday when interviewed with Dillian there, he said, I like the fight, but the money or the contract must be right. Okay, so we know Derek's a money man. Yeah, okay. Jared Anderson, what's happening with him? He's died a death, hasn't he? His career seems to be dying a death. Who else? F.A. Jagba, maybe? And Joseph Parker? What do you think of that one? I don't know. You give me your opinion, all right? Give me your opinion. Who would you put Joe in with? And, I mean, we know where Fabio's going. It's straight at Usyk. We'll talk about that later. But Joe Parker, who would you put him in with? Who do you think he deserves to be in with? Do you think he's got something left? I think the fight yesterday would have taken something out of him. He left something in that ring yesterday, and perhaps Wardley did too. Wardley is a younger man, far fresher, of course. Joe's had a very, very long career and been a champion as well, a WBO champ. So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, leave your comments below, please do. And if you like this video, please hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel if you don't mind, because you're helping us out and you're a loving person. Help us out. Subscribe. We've got videos every day for you, so come and join us. Anyway, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'll speak to you soon, and bye for now.